And good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing this evening? Welcome on into the Dragon's Den for a very surprise impromptu stream because I just decided on a whim. Um, so if you were on the last stream, you will know that we kind of ran into some hiccups when we were trying to rebuild our uh, self-burner tool head out of the Trident over here. Um, in order to make it work with the Filametrix, which would have the dual sensors and would have a filament cutter and what have you. And the end story that we ended up with was I could either continue to use the tool head that I had in there, which lo and behold is an actual Revo Micro versus a actual Revo Voron, which is what the printed parts that I printed out were for. And that would go with our newly rebuilt extruder piece, which has the top and lower tool head sensors in here for filament sensors. We need at least the top tool head sensor in here for this to work with box turn. And while we don't need the cutter, we could do tip forming. Cutting may still be the better option, but we still need, the top filament sensor here. So a couple of the options that we had and that we were thinking about going is leave this tool head intact, put it on there, and just do without a cutter. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's just go. So that's one option. Option two is get a new heat sink, which isn't going to be here until Friday or Saturday. And that would let us rebuild the tool using the Filametrix tool head piece here with the Revo Voron, right? It's just a new heat sink. We just basically take the bottom off of here, put it, take the obsidian nozzle out, take the bottom off, put it back in, no harm, no foul, we keep going. I'm going to call this plan C because that means we still can't get a tool head put together for tomorrow's stream unless I tear a tool head out of another printer like Fay Dragon or come to think of it, and I actually have to check. I've got two ender wires downstairs that might have a Revo Voron in them. I say I have to check because I'm also loath to tearing one of those apart because I have people that are considering buying one or both of them right now. So it's kind of a toss-up. The next option we have, and I mentioned this before, is I've got a drop effect. This is the new NextG hot end. This is the NextG fiber, which means it's already set up with the required hardened heat break and nozzle to support, running carbon fiber or glass fiber, abrasive filaments. Now, there's two versions of this. There is the standard, I'll call it the standard or mini ultra high flow. And then there's the true ultra high flow, which adds a little extension piece and makes it a little bit longer. So I can build this in this particular, I'll say configuration, and it won't impact the overall length, right? So this piece goes in here, it mounts up like a normal dragon, and we're all happy and moving on with life, right? And that would enable me to use the exact same front. I wouldn't have to do anything. It mounts right in there. We just keep pressing. The other option we have is to add the extension and get even more flow rate out of it. But that doesn't work. That doesn't fit, right? Which would mean I would have to reprint the lower portion that would have the longer fan ducts to it. I could do this. That would basically mean pulling everything out of here, re-putting it into the newly printed duct that I printed out today. I just realized I don't have my little dragons on it. What I'm kind of stuck in trying to decide what it is that I want to do on this particular build. This tool head in its full-blown glory is how I will refer to it as. If you add the extension and make it an ultra high flow, I was able to get about 45 millimeters cubed on a 0.6 nozzle, which is what I used previously. This does come with, see here what we got. It looks like a 0.4. Looks like it does come with a 0.4 and 0.6 nozzles. We have to cut and redo some of the wiring to make it work. Hey, Solar 3DP, how's it going? But okay, that's a 0.5, and this looks like a 0.4. So it looks like it's either a it's 0.4 or 0.5 nozzle. So this has been running a 0.6 Revo hot end in it. How's it going, Solar? Welcome in. Like I said, this is a kind of an impromptu stream. I see RF3Ds hanging out over there. Stephen Poole's hanging out. Free Heathen. Timor, Free Heathen. You should have company, my friend. Why are you on here? You have company. But the goal here is really to make a final decision. Yes, today is Wednesday, Timor. I'm having an existential crisis because I saw an email that said we're 16 days away from Earth, 3D Printopia. And I went, oh crap. And I know tomorrow I was hoping to get this fully assembled back on the printer, but as you can see with this look, I'm not there. I've got too many decisions to make. So once again, option one was to take this tool head, and I was looking, and there is a slight gap, so I need to cut the PTFE tube. And basically what we're going to do would be to just reattach the existing tool head, go without the cutter for now, and try and make it work with just tip forming. I'm not sure about that, if I'm going to have any issues, if just this little bit of PTFE tube would be rigid enough or not. Option two is we're delayed until probably Saturday, maybe longer, waiting for a Revo Voron heatsink to come in. That would allow me to basically take the heater core and the Revo nozzle out, put it in a standard, Revo Voron tool head that would be designed for Filametrix, and then we can go that way. But that puts us off several days. Other option, we can go with our NextG fiber tool head. This is the one that I prototyped. I beta tested, and I actually beta tested the unit in the Trident and then moved it over to the 350 once we got that going. And it's running on a Filametrix, by the way. So, hey, nerd from Beans and I. Yeah, that's why I thought you had a visitor with you. So the option is we can run it like this with just a standard nozzle. This would be the standard length, and crap. Yeah, we can put it in a standard Dragon mount, right? So we could do it this way. The other thing we could do is we could run it with its high flow extension. So go like that. And this is with a 0.5 nozzle is what they shipped it with. I thought it was going to be a 0.6, but it's 0.5. And we can go as a higher volume. And even looking at that, that's, so maybe this isn't going to be as deep as a Dragon. Ah, hell. Boom, done. That way, I don't have to use the extended length, which means I wouldn't have to redo the entire front half to make it fit. This actually looks like it will fit perfectly in the standard. I'll have to work with the wiring because they did change the way that the wire comes out of here. And going like that, this is in the way. I'd have to try and work on this a bit. This is just the strain relief for this. So I would cut this off, do something with the strain relief. Quite honestly, maybe cut it a little bit shorter and then re-zip tie it. Because I got to be able to get around the mounting notch. I need to run this up this way, up, or run it down and up. That's doable. I can figure out how to make that happen. So I'm just looking at the way this would mount today if I didn't make any changes. I would still need to, from the looks of it, undo the screws at the mounting screws here, and it allows you to clock it somewhat. So I'd have to change the clocking to where the wires come out, but that is doable. I don't know. I'll have to look at that. But there's ways that we can change the clocking on the mount of this. So that's something I can work on. But yeah, and since this does fit in here without so lengthwise, this is the best fit for it, then that will go on the current self burner cooling section. So I don't need to go through and tear this out and remount it in the other side. So I printed parts that I really didn't need to. But that's okay. That's okay. No, I'm not going to need the wires because we're not going to extend them. We're going to take it right into the tool head. Keep the 4mm nozzle. I don't need that. Need versus need that. Probably want some of that stuff. We'll need the wrenches at some point. May need some of this mounting hardware. Yeah, so how's everybody doing tonight? Hey, Beans, how are you? Oh, you subscribed for 5 months. Thank you, Beans. Means a lot to me, Beans. Thank you. I appreciate that. You'll be lurking because you're very tired. Lots of love. Yeah, I saw that you were posting. You traveled all day today, and you traveled from the UK all the way into Canada. So, and not just Canada, but the west coast of Canada. So you've got a hell of a time shift going. How long are you out there, Miss Beans? That's kind of a long trip. Uh, by the way, hey Hybrid Robotics, hey Stephen Poole, Timor, Solar, welcome on in everybody. Like I said, I know this is a weird stream because I was not originally planning on streaming. I don't know why we have so many wrenches. I think some of these are the same size. These are duplicate. We'll just set those over there. We probably will need some of those wrenches a little bit later on. Probably need some of those. I'm not going to use this one because we're going to use the larger one. I do want to run the bigger heater piece. Not going to need the collet, just like we won't need the Grove mount. Rest of this will have some, don't think we're going to need flathead screws. We will need the mounting screws here, or we will have to use different mounting screws. Got some tiny screws, mounting screws. Now this is, the way they designed the NextG is the top heatsink cage here is a Dragon burner. So it's the same thing as the Dragon as far as the mounting goes. I'm trying to think which screw heads. Okay, so it will work in any standard Dragon mount, so you don't need a separate mount for these. Like if you use the original, oh, what they call the, I don't know, the last, yeah, the version before this did not use a Dragon heatsink. It used kind of a squared off heatsink, and you had to get like all new mounting options. It was kind of a pain in the butt. This, at least you get every Dragon tool head, anything that you've got that mounts with the standard Dragon hot end pattern, this will work in. So that's why it's a simple thing of just printing out a tool head for a Dragon and then just figuring out which way we have to clock this and route our wires. That would mount in, but once again, like I said, I'm hitting right here. So I will have to move some things a little bit to route the wires around. I think I'm going to cut this, move this down, and then I can bring my strain relief in at a different point. Because that's all that little piece is the strain relief for the wire here. And I need to move that in a little bit so that it clears the that mounting boss. And actually, I'm going to see if I can't change the clocking on this some. Like seeing different mounting studs in here. But by doing this, I wanted to basically do a stream today to allow me to get a little bit back ahead of where we were so that tomorrow when we stream, we'll be ready to mount our tool head again and keep going. And I probably need to change the view. Let's go bench side for right now. And because I'm dealing with some tiny screws here, let me grab one of my paper towels here, just so I don't lose any of these tiny screws. Because it would really suck if you lose the screws here. So how's everybody doing today? All right, and so there is main part of our heat sink, heat break and heat sink there. So what I'm looking at and what I'm going to try and take a look at is does this I think I'm not going to test that. I'm just going to test putting this right back in there and just clocking this at a different spot. That still going to be right in the way. Rotate this around and put it in this way. Do like that. Come out to the right, pull my wires back. What I'm doing is just trying to figure out how this clocks in various different ways. That goes there. That's going to be right up against something. Got to be another way of turning this whole shebang. Yeah, it's this metal piece here that I need to be able to swap around because there's a three-way here that I can clock this wing arm. I can clock this wing arm a different way, but I need to figure out how to separate those two things and heat break that's going down through there. So, see if we can break our new tool head. Not that I want to. That's our heat sink coming off. gracious. Like this is why we have so many wrenches, is it's like every little piece has its own locking collar. There we go. So I need to be able to take this, clock it to a different position. Be like that. Now, that would be out of the way enough that I should be able to bend that. And so that's what I needed to do, was just kind of undo this collar here so I could raise it up and move this wing band. So I unlock this collar so I can move this wing band around and clock it differently on these 3 offset pegs here. See those little pegs there? And there's 3 little landing spots on this wing collar here. So loosen this collar up. This you can change the clocking of, then put it back in place, bring this collar and torque it back down, and then we will put our heat brake back in. And we'll need to add a little bit of oomph to the top of this. Not a lot. Because once again, this is the heat brake on our heat throat. If we bend or break that heat throat, we're done until we get replacements. I'm doing well. Mrs. Dragon is back in Colorado, and she's a little stressed. Just a lot going on. A family friend is flying back out there tomorrow and is going to take a bunch of her meds for her that she needs refills on. And then her mom seems to be doing well with her physical therapy and stuff. And then her brother is going to need some med stuff as well. So, just kind of working through things. I want to say these are M2 screws, maybe 2.5. I can never remember the Dragons. Definitely not M2 because that went straight through. So they must be 2.5. Yep, it would be the black ones that have thread locker already applied to them. So tiny little black ones here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and mount one side of this, possibly if I don't drop the screw. Hopefully this screw is long enough to mount this side. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go and find some other screws. Okay. And they're not going to work. So I am going to need some bigger screws. These are going to be M2.5s. And I believe I have some M2.5s in here. 2.5 by 6s. this. Two and a half by 6s. Sweet. I will put a tiny, tiny bit of Loctite on the bottom of these. Very nice. Hey, Mrs. Dragon. Been busy printing. You need to find a reasonable way to respool some Polymaker Luminous Rainbow. I've got that one respooler. I can't remember. It was off of I think it was off Maker World, but I'm sure it's available on some other thing. You got your care package today. Thank you. Now, if I can make the head cold go away. Oh, head colds suck. I am sorry, Mrs. Dragon. Yeah, so if we do that, we'll be able to work our wires around the corner here. What I'm trying to do is just kind of work it a little bit, understand how things come in here. Oh, that's got to go up there. Dang it. If I take this in the other direction, like that, works, and I'm going to have to fold the wires back. They'll be visible out the front, but I don't necessarily care about that. Sorry about the head cold, Mrs. Dragon. If it makes you feel any better, I mean, I'm still dealing with the allergy stuff. And yes, I know this is not a typical stream day, but I am streaming anyhow. We're going to want this actually to go towards the front like that, right? Of course, I just put right in this hub. Go this way, right where that thing needs to mount. Able to go under or over. This way, crank it back around and come up this way. basically be blocking, could be blocking our arrow. No, we'll be fine. I think we'll be okay. All righty. On and back. Thank you. Take this back off. So I can mount this back on there. If I can remember how. Come out. That way with the front. Hey Ash Prince, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so I decided to stream today just so that I can work on getting this tool head laid out appropriately. It bit of a pickle, but doing this tool head like this will maybe give me the ability. Killing me here. That way, out the back. We tried this. Anywhere I go here, it's just going to be a tight fit. And we tried to get them to take this and go straight up instead of out to the side. But they still went out to the side. And there's a part of me that wants to get rid of the grain relief there and do something different. I mean, I know why the strain relief is there. Don't get me wrong about that. More of just how do I get this wired to work and mount correctly without fouling against the whatchamacallit, CNC tap. Clock it that way. Straight back. Gonna foul on this side now because of this way going towards the front. Got to try and really crank it back around on it. fully that way. Oh, yeah. You know what? I could just stop fighting everything here. Oh, look, what is that? Is that a dragon hot end? Why, yes, it is. And I can make those wires move around a lot easier than the other way. We might just do this. We might just do this. Or at least for now, we'll do this. Like I said, I do have the I do have a Revo heater or heat sink coming. We can do that. The Filametrix, we can, or not Filametrix, the Beta Next G, we can put in something else. Quite honestly, I think it would go great in the in one of the 0Gs. I think it'd actually go better in a 0G than like here. So let's keep that thought about us. Let's go ahead and put this mounting stuff back. Stop messing with that. We'll just go with the Dragon. Easy, simpler solution. Not causing us any consternation. Because once again, it's showtime, and that's why I'm streaming tonight, is because it's showtime and I'm starting to get frazzled because of it. Let's not get frazzled, right? Let's just put that stuff in there. Put that back in here. We'll take this. Get it back in here. There we go. No getting frazzled. Mount this sucker in here. And we'll go with it. Really? Goes with that towards the back. Right? Yep. Okay. And I'm pretty darn sure that this thing isn't clogged. I should probably check that out before I get too far putting this together, but you know, what the hell. Put a couple of screws in, and we'll go check and make sure that it's not clogged and that there was a reason why it wasn't sitting on the bench. Not in a system. And how are we going to test a clog? Yeah, we're going to grab a plastic pusher and just put it in. See how far we can get this to go in. I'd say we're down into the hot end, so we should be good. We should be good. I should be able to push anything through that's needed. make the assumption that that might be a hardened nozzle. I don't know. Two ways these wires could go, and I think they're going to go up and around that way. That way. You can go down. One can go up and around, one can go down and around. Work with me. Darn it. Work with me or not. Come on. There we go. That will work. I'm going to have to put in some heat sets though before I forget, because otherwise, well, I won't be able to connect it together. So do a few heat sets real fast. So Mrs. Dragon, how is Mama Bear doing tonight? I talked to my brother. He's doing okay. Same old, same old. A lot going on at work and all that good jazz. I hope everything's going good with your mom. And you said that you got your care package today, so, and I did call in the other one today, so it'll be ready to be picked up tomorrow when I go out for my run tomorrow. Two, three, only need 4 here. She is tired, doctor's appointment and PT. Well, I don't blame her for that. I mean, I can imagine that that's not going to be uh, all fun and games with the PT that she has to have. So, hey Tracy V, how are you doing? Thank you for being here. We are working on rebuilding a tool head. Kind of like doing a little bit of interim stuff for the time being. So the issue that we had is we needed to rebuild our standard stealth burner tool head for our printer to allow us to have the Filametrix system, which adds, in our case, a filament sensor above the extruder gear and another filament sensor below the extruder gear. And it's also going to allow for a filament cutter to be installed. And that's to go with our Box Turtle, which is an open source AMS that we've been building. Right, so this is our Box Turtle that we built under the closed beta program. Don't worry, I'm allowed to show it. I just can't give you anybody the parts and stuff. So each lane has an extruder and several sensors to tell where it's at, but we need some type of cutter. And there's different options. Like this is going to be a tool head cutter. There is work being done right now to incorporate the Enraged Rabbit encoder cutter, the EREC, which would be done right at the back of the box here, which would make it easier to work on any system. Like you could put it on a V0 or a Bugaboo or a Rook or whatever, as long as it has a filament sensor so that you can detect that the filament is at the extruder gears. But the issue I had was I did not realize that I am using a boron micro in this tool head. So I don't have a mount for this for the Filametrix. So I was originally going to take a look at doing my Fetus Next G fiber in here, but the way that the heater is on this, it's a ceramic heater, it sticks out way too far. This really needs to go on something more like the 0G Mercury 1. Like I could probably put it in here, and I just have to redo that whole tool head, which I didn't realize that does have a Revo tool head in it as well. I just don't know if it's the boron heatsink is what I would need. Longer story short, what I was just doing here was putting in the heat sinks, and I decided to just go with the standard Dragon tool head for right now. And I just realized this won't work either, because I would have to yeah, that won't work either, because see, it's too the nozzle's too low. The nozzle is higher than this, so I would have to use some type of an adapter and drop this nozzle down even more. What am I going to do? Dragonfly is a slightly different bolt pattern. This is this the same bolt pattern? Close, but this is still going to be the same thing, right? Still be the same thing, even if I mounted it in there, which it won't go in there because of the way that the all right, what do I have? What do I have? One way or the other, we're going to solve this problem. I promise you that. We've got options. So is the drop effect XG in here? Yeah, no. Maybe? No. That is in something. I have that one in. Okay, so that's a no-go. Status Rapido 2. Is anything in here? No, this is installed and in use. Use that. This one is installed and in question now. Come on, darn. Ah, there we go. So just straight installing the extension would work. I have to pop that one out, install the extension, but that would work. Um, oh yeah, main filament path, but I would say we did have a clog there. So probably need to take that out anyhow. Good news is most of that broke out, so I should be able to heat that up and push that through at some point. Now the downside is when we do this, we won't have a heat sock over it. That's the downside. But we're just trying to get a working tool head so that we can continue the build and be able to prototype some. So that is all we need for right now. Let's see, out of Adam, how's it going? Will I be at Earthtopia at the end of the month? Yes. So Mrs. Dragon will be flying back home on the 21st. That's me waiting to see if she corrects me. Boxes and turtles. Yeah. And this is what we do right now, Zombie, is we're digging through all of the boxes of hot end parts to see what we have because standard dragon nozzle doesn't work. And because this is the high flow mini here, which means I still don't have the right freaking one, and the Revo pattern won't come in for a few days, so I'll probably switch back over to this. This is going to be an ad hoc temporary thing to get me going in the interim, so that we might be able to test soonish, sooner rather than later. That's the boron one. You go over there. Not that we would ever kind of piecemeal things together just to test out a hot end, right? At least it's easy to swap. That is true. That is true. It will be easy to swap. Um, Those are there. I need the rear screws. I'm going to pull the ones out of here. I think we're done with heat sets for the moment, so I will put this down so I don't burn the heck out of myself. The 3x25s, these 15s, 3x16. Awesome. I have some of those over here. Oh, yeah. There are no kits for the box turtle yet. It's still under closed beta, though I think you may hear something soon-ish about it going into an open beta status. So, like, maybe at the end of the month. Don't quote me on that. I do not have release authority, so, just take that with a grain of salt. So that will work. I do need to get a nugget of a PTFE tube in there. Almost feels like it's not going to be worth it because you got to have a whoops. So I need a very, very, very short piece of PTFE tubing to add in here. So such a small piece, I'm going to have to take this back apart and show you what I'm looking for. Thanks for the alert, Zombie. If you're in the Patreon or if you join Armored Turtles Patreon, you used to be able to get the bomb so you can be ready when the parts are released. But now you can join the Patreon and then be granted access to the CAD files. So I'm going to put this small, tiny piece of PTFE tubing in there. Okay. And there's an M3 nut. So we're literally doing like, I don't know. I'm going to have to use my calipers. Where'd I put my calipers at? Not calipers. Where'd I put my calipers at? Dang it. Please don't tell me I took them downstairs. That would be not a good thing. All right, I guess I'll be Mark 1 eyeballing it. How do you take your calipers? All right, Mark 1s. 5 millimeters. We're going to go 6 millimeters is what we need. Look. 6 millimeters is what we need. Okay, either this PTFE tube is oversized or something is amiss in my print tolerance. Okay. That's 6 millimeters right there. Six millimeters, and that was not a straight end cut. So a little bit out, cut this straight. Back through some. More. It's going to be good right there. Tighten this down. So what I'm doing here, this is a jig by the one and only Steve Peterson, and it allows you to have a nice flat surface that you can make a very consistent cut on and ensure that you're getting a straight, clean cut and not at an angle. And boom, just like that. I now have a very, very tiny piece of PTFE tube. I'm going to grab my chamfering tool and we're going to just chamfer both sides. I want a good ingress and egress here, just so we don't have any issues. We'll take a little bit of filament. Now, when you're doing filament or printing and you do retractions and you pull filament back out in order to do filament changes or whatnot, you tend to get a little bit of a like a bulbous tip, and that's why we're going to be doing, you can either do tip forming or you need to do cutting to take care of that. And that's basically what we're going to be doing with this build, is doing a cutter, but you still have to pull that tip up to where the cutter is. And in this case, the cutter is going to be right at this level right here. So we're going to need to have, a little bit of PTFE tube in the way there. Dang it, that actually is just a smidge too long. Are you kidding me? A smidge too long. And I would highly, highly, highly suggest not cutting it the way I am cutting it right now, for two reasons. One, I'm cutting it on my countertop and I may cut my countertop up. But two, you may not get a consistent flat edge, but I really just needed to take off tiniest little sliver of in there, because you don't want this to, you don't want it to be compressed in there, because if it's compressed in there, what it'll actually do is foul the filament path, and that will be bad. And once again, this is a bit of work, but it's necessary work to get our tool head put together in such a way that we'll be able to use our cutter effectively. Back in there. And once again, it's an interim solution, and we all know how interim solutions work. You know, when they work, we just never go back and change them. Craftsmanship, a 3D printer builds on display. Well, thank you. I try. You want to make sure that fully seated and flushed in the gap there. So we've got an M3 nut here. In that M3 nut, we have drilled the holes out of it, or the threads out of it. Okay, and we did that. We did that so that we had a clean filament path for the filament to go through. But the M3 nut on one side and the other side, I'll show you in a second, has a heat set insert. And what that does is it allows for a metal on either side of your cutting blade so that you don't wear the plastic down and foul out your filament path. Because once again, you're going to cut that filament off, and you don't want to be shaving plastic that then gets down in there and melts up in the cool zone of your hot end. Okay, so this provides the metal protective on this side. Our blade cutter is going to get mounted right about there, and this is going to sit here. So it'll sit right there, and when it's needed, we'll just go like that and briefly cut it. I need to figure out Filametrix. What is that screw size? That there. Please go back in here. Do 2.5 by 6. Button heads, socket heads. There. That goes out of the way so I don't cut myself on it. And here's the bottom of our extruder piece. And you'll see that there's an M3 heat press insert in there. And we drilled the threads out of that as well. So that gives us good clean filament path all the way through, and gives us the protection for the blade so that we don't slice into our tool head and cause ourselves some issues. All right, that stuff's put up. I'll put this aside for the moment. I will wind up taking that stuff, or we'll swap this out in a little bit once I get the part to put the Revo back in, because I really like the Revos. But Filametrix, we go to the browser one. So Filametrix, this is what we're building. So we'll have this lever on the side that will push the blade over and cut the filament. Okay. This is kind of the inner workings of everything here. And so we're going to need down here, this is a 3x8 at the bottom and M3x18 flathead screw. M3x18 flathead screw. Don't have 3x18 here. I think I had I think it's a 16 or a 20 that I had. So, or at least that's the only ones I could find. And I am not going to buy a bunch of screws for an M3x18. I've got 16 or 20. Will the 16 work? If not, will 20 work? $16 is not going to go all the way through. Quite honestly, I don't think 18 either. Okay. So, flathead screw. Oh, wait, hold on. So we've got an M3x18, a M3 washer on each side. So I do need a couple of washers. I think these are better than what I have there. Got enough M3 washers to go around. I'm going to use an M320, M3 washer, and our cutting blade. And we're going to be going M3x20, a washer, our cutting blade, okay. And we'll need another washer on the other side. Probably not going to be that easy to put in there, but we'll see. Holy cow, seriously, I got that in there. I'll give myself a pat on the back for that one. And then we'll screw this down in there. And this is going into a heat set insert. And all I'm doing is getting it flush. I want this to be able to go easily. And it's going to go even easier right now because, well, I forgot to put the spring that goes in here. So I'm going to take this back apart. So trial run. That was a trial run. That sucks. We'll have to try that again. Now I need a spring. What kind of spring? Well, the easiest way to do a spring on this is to grab one from a ballpoint pen. So just reach over to your desk and look for a cheap ballpoint pen. If you've got one of the government ones, those are top notch. You use those. If you don't have a, Lighthouse of the Blind government click pen, then just go ahead and grab one of your other click pens and open it up and get the spring out. Because you should just need that spring right there. It calls the spring it calls for is, size spring does it actually call for? Darn it. Because it does give an actual size that you want. And their suggestion is literally, use a ballpoint. That one's not clicking anymore. Where is that part? Calls out for a spring. Sorry, I'm trying to read through here real fast. Spring, 0.4 by 4 by 15. So 0.4 would be the actual size of the wire. 0.4 would be the diameter, and 15 would be the length. And or alternative of a ballpoint pen. Like this is about 25, so it's a little bit bigger than what it calls for, but it's pretty springy, right? So it should work. I think it's what I used in my last one as well, was a ballpoint pen spring. There's that there. And the nodule for that is right underneath, is right underneath our cutting blade. Right? So it's going to go in that hole right there, that depression, and it goes into the depression right there on the side of our spool head. So now we just need to line the two sides up. Slide that on there. Try and do this the same way we did before. So there's our screw. There's the there's the first washer. Screw, knock the washer out. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more hectic, painful. Screw and washer. There we go. Now we're going to need to put in our piece here with the spring place. That in place, pull that back some, give us room, and we'll put the other washer in there. Get that lined up. Screw that down. Check that we've got good movement there. And our printed piece works just fine. We need a M3 by 8 screw added down here at the bottom. So M3 by 8 screw. This is just kind of like a little retaining hook. So you'll see there's another spot right there with a heat set insert. We're just going to put this down in there. Doesn't have to go all the way down in there. We're not trying to make it. But all we're doing is that's keeping it from going too far back and keeping our blade in line. Right? So there's our cutter all done up. So we've got the cutter done. We've got the tool head done. Let me get this back over here out of the way. And that's going to give us the tool head piece that's going to align just like that. Our lower piece is going to fit in just like that. We'll have this will be the hot end wires. They'll come around the back, plug in. I'll have to re-terminate this to connect in our thermistor right there. And bada bing, bada boom, there's our tool head. And the more I think about it, let me get this taken back apart. That is a standard cartridge thermistor. Standard cartridge thermistor. There's no funky business here. If I was using my drop effect, I can't do what I'm about to suggest because this has a PT1000 thermistor in it. I don't want to change that. I want the PT1000 thermistor in it. Okay? But what I'm going to suggest and do is rather than cut that wire and try and put the tiny connector on, because once again, believe it or not, and I'm going to switch cameras over here. These are crimped connectors, right? These are crimped connectors. You see that there? And they go on these little connectors right here. And look, people complain enough, they've provided a cartridge thermistor pre-terminated. They're providing strips of pre-terminated wires. So what we're doing, and what I've done here, I literally cut and resoldered my thermistor wires on this one, right? So, because that uses a different type of thermistor. This would use a different type of, the drop effect, a Rapido, it uses a screw-in thermistor, so it wouldn't work. But on this one, I'm gonna have to take this sucker apart, but I can pull the thermistor out of here and put in this thermistor, which already has the pre-terminated end on it. So that, my friends, is what I'm going to do, because I'm not that big of a glutton for punishment. The glutton of punishment that I'm going to have to go through is repinning the I'm going to have to repin the CNC tap connector because we're physically relocating that on the board and we're moving it from a 4-pin connector over to a 5-pin connector. And the pins are going to have to move. Right? It's not like I can just cut the locking tabs off and put it in a different place. The order of the pins are actually different. Because what we did was our tool head sensors, our end stops here for filament sensing. These two end stops are going into this 4-pin connector here. That 4-pin connector is where the CNC tap connector used to go. We're going to relocate that down to the BL touch header down here, which is a 5-pin, which means I need to try and depin and see if I can reuse those, because once again, the order in which they're going in there is different, and I can't just shove the 4-pin on here. So that'll be something else I have to do. But for now, I'm going to take this back apart and we'll play with our spring cutter and all of that stuff yet again, because this needs to come out. Here's my two washers, my spring, my cutter. I need to take this end off. Means moving these screws. And which way is going to take the front out, take the front cover off. Yeah, because I want to take this wire out, which is at the front here. So got a tiny, tiny, tiny set screw. And I'm not going to go digging in boxes for Allen keys. I'll just open this up. Want to work if I can get the angle. But that one worked. I have to remove nozzle. And y'all need to remind me, I need to hot tighten these. We do this later. Okay, said the wrong size. There's the cartridge thermistor that pulled out. Put the other one in there and didn't have any goo on that. And for now, I'm not going to put any glue. And when you tighten these up, you're just snugging them up. You're not trying to like really crank down on there. You don't want to deform the cartridge. You're just putting the set screw in there um, in such a way that it won't come out. So there's that. We've got these two wires here. Need to run that direction. We put our little ETFE tube of next to nothingness in there. Both go there. Nothing's inked. I lost my piece of PTFE. Great googly moogly. Are you kidding? Ay, ay, ay. Oh, 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 oh. Found it. Go in there. He started. Gonna squish them all the way in there just yet. Tighten them down. I need to get the M3 nut back in there and get it pressed down. Make sure it's nice and flat and even with the part. Now I can tighten these up. Do another little press and make sure it's nice and even, flush, which it is. So those are done. This back away. All right, the good news is from the looks of it, we should at least have a tool head ready to go back on. We're going to have to still work on repinning the the CNC tap, which we'll do when we bring the printer as a whole over here to the bench. This goes over here. This is going to go back over here. Okay, so boom, just like that, a little bit of work, and we've got our thermistor ready to go. So there we go. And we'll be able to get this attached and everything will plug in nicely. We'll do that when we get everything mounted together. The nice thing, like I said, is in doing it this way, we haven't changed our front end. So the front end stays the same. All of our fans were working, the lights were working, the Nomi was working, so we're good there. We don't have to change any of that. We'll have to change our config some to account for our two new connections here for our sensors and for the movement of our CNC tap down there. We'll have an X-in stop that gets plugged back in here. And yeah, I think we're good. So I do need to put this back on. Like I said, I really, really need you guys to remind me tomorrow that when we fire this up, that I need to hot tighten this both parts of the hot end nozzle here, because it really needs to be hot tightened. I guess I need to put this back in there. That would help. That in there. Lined up. This in there. That lined up. Darn it. Started, pull it back out. So we can get the other washer on the other side pressed down in there. Tighten this down. And of course, that time I didn't get it fully aligned. Figures. I think that did it. Yep. Boom. There's our working cutter again. All right. And I still need to add my other 2 screws back up here before I forget. And then I have a half secured hot end. And just like that, a fairly short stream, just what, 2 hours? We did some good troubleshooting. We've got a good filament path. We've got our filament cutter ready to go here. That's good. Might need to do this just a tad bit. There we go. There we go. Goes there, that goes there. So this piece is done. This piece is done. That piece is done. I'm going to set this right on there in hopes that it will keep the cutter away from my fingers. So we've got the tool head done. By the way, I do have another NAMI. So I realize I have another one. So maybe when we redo the tool head in Fade Dragon, we'll add a NAMI into Fade Dragon. Hey, Chris, how's it going? How's it going? Dardell, welcome on in. What's up? What's up? Thank you for the tier 3 sub for 18 months in a row. Wow, Chris, thanks. And thank you for being responsive today and getting me some filming going. My goal is to redo the skirts and stuff for my other box turtle. I should have time to tear that apart and redo the skirts before the show. And if things come in, I may be having a third one built for the show. Who knows? Yeah, my merch store is broken. I thought I changed the link. Is it still in my about section? I need to fix that. I know I killed the pop-up timer, so it shouldn't be coming into chat. Oh, thanks, Ash. Appreciate that. I missed that comment earlier. All the little details matter. Exactly. Exactly. You know, details matter. If you don't have a clean filament path, you're going to fight issues, right? You click down in the description. Yeah, that is broken. I'll have to go and take that out. They switched from Stream Elements over to Fourth Wall, and I just haven't updated things. So, yeah, my bad there. My bad. But yeah, the plan is to get a couple of things going here. Like I said, I was just streaming a little bit, trying to get this fixed up. I was trying to make an XG hot end work, and I'm fighting the wires on it because it uses a ceramic heater and it comes straight out the back. I'm just fighting geometry here, and I'm done fighting the geometry. But this works here. I did have to put we're running a Fadus extension here from one of my Rapidos. So we're running that extension in here with a 0.6 nozzle, if I remember right. Yeah, so that keeps us at 0.6. And this is a stopgap to keep us going, right? The main issue that I'm trying to deal with is this is the original hot end that I had in the Trident, right? That's a Revo Micro, not a Revo Voron. I have not found a Revo Micro tool head for a Filametrix, which means the easiest thing to do is, of course, order the Voron heatsink and just swap the heater core in the nozzle, which I wasn't thinking. I should have tagged it on with the other order because it looks like you're shipping it via FedEx, so it might get here in a couple days. But I did order one off Amazon. It's supposed to get here like Saturday. So I'll probably switch this around once again once that comes in. No big deal. I mean, the thermistor and heater are going to be the same. It's just take the front shroud off, disconnect these wires, drop this out, put the other one in, and we're back up and running again. So, hey, Shrimp Father, thank you for the resubscribe. I appreciate that. And Chris, I'm just going to ask the generic question. Has that filament been announced yet, or is it still hush hush? All right, Shadell, thank you for the resubscribe as well. Man, everybody's actually, yeah, no, wait. Yeah, Shrimp Brother, Shadell. Thank you, everybody, for the resubscribes. I have a pen now that doesn't work because I just took the spring out of that for my Filametrix cutter. And once again, we need to redo the wiring here. See if I can get this off. So this is the wiring for our CNC tap. And as you can see, this is pinned to a 4-pin connector. And the way that this was in there, it is set up for, let's see, it would have been, so it went in there. So this is 5-volt ground and PB5. So this needs to be re-terminated into the 5-pin connector down here at the BL Touch. And we want to do 5-volt ground And I'm not sure if I use PB9 or PB8. I want it to match the configuration I did on the Trident downstairs, because I'm not sure if it's turned on. It might not be turned. I need to run downstairs. Yeah, that because I'm telling you that filament printed beautifully. Give me 1 second, folks. I need to go downstairs and turn that printer on. All righty. And I tell you what, Chris, the Orange Dragon, the Orange Rook 2020 Mark 1 that's been at your booth for like several shows now, that we've been printing like chameleons on it at every show. I changed the, I think I redid the, whatchamacallit, I redid the Raspberry Pi because something was foobarred on it. And I was like, I don't have those G-code files. Like, they worked. Every place we went, we sat it down, you get, go. I found the SD card and was able to bring it up on something and copy the G-codes over. So I should have the G-codes for it. I need to test run it before we go out. And I do have the KB 3D Rook Mark II that also needs to be ready to go. So I need to verify both of those are running good before we go anywhere, or before I go anywhere, like to the next show, because it would really, really suck if that wasn't working. And I gotta, right, this is their side connector. This is the connector I need to adjust. Okay, and I gotta be very, very careful about how this is wired, because two of these cables are not in the right direction based on their, we'll just say they're not in the right direction. So I will tell you that this Trident that's downstairs has something attached to it, right? So this is Box Turtle, or the software for the Box Turtle. It says we've got 4 legs ready to go. I need to get that working. Yes. You actually have a couple of different new, like you started carrying Cookie CAD, and all right, I'm going to be safe rather than sorry. How bad is it that I can do KB and it comes up to your page? We've got Cookie CAD now. But we also have this stuff called Ambrosia. Ambrosia's live, yep. So I like Ambrosia. I've got some Ambrosia over here. In fact, I've got some, what is this? You know, we got some of the Galactic Midnight Meteorite. This is that nice sparkly purple Ambrosia filament. A sparkly purple. This is a really pretty color. This is a Zombie Hedgehog favorite, right? So I don't have to order it from West 3D and wait so long for it to get here from the, from the West Coast. I can order it from Chris and have him deliver it a lot quicker. And then we've got, our Cookie CAD here, and this is Dark Magic And believe it or not, this is also ABS. So we've got a lot of good options now over here on the East Coast, which gives you a little bit faster shipping. Now, I wonder, and also, I mean, if you're really interested and you like some of the merchandise that you see there on KB3D's site, there is a link that'll come up occasionally. Like if you do a bang KB3D, I believe. I believe it's KB3D, or did I do it all in one? May have done it all in one. Yeah, there we go. There's a link right there to my affiliate page. You know, you can get things that you need from KB3D. Great store. They sponsor me. They keep me, you know, they got me the black box over here. Was one of the first ones to put that together. And yeah, you know, I get a little bit back. It's really what it is I get credits to go spend at his store. Like I called them up today and it was like, hey, yeah, send me a bunch of this. And I think my bonus is coming. Which means maybe we'll get more stuff from them. But yeah, lots of good colors here. A lot of cookie CAD. He has some standard stuff. You still have some 3DO in here, right? I think normally it had 3DO. Was it 3DO or no? Snow Labs or whatever. Yeah, there we go. Snow Labs. Polycarbonate carbon fiber for, you know, all that cool stuff that you run with. So yeah, come check out KB3D Chris. But he does have a couple of others that your bonus is a hot cup of Aberdeen Diner coffee. Oh my God, we've got to go there. We've got to go there. Yeah. So I finally booked the hotel, and of course I called Chris and said, "Hey, where are you guys staying?" So I know where to go. So we're staying at the same hotel. But what I was doing here was I needed to come in here, look at my printer config, and oh, by the way, oh, actually, let me do this real fast. Printer config. We're looking for the Z probe or the probe, and computer probe 10, Papa Bravo 9. What I need to do is grab that right there, come over and work because that main sail is not up. Yeah, dang it. Notepad. No idea what that is. We'll throw that right there and have it ready for tomorrow's stream when we stream again. Um, yeah, the hot cup of Aberdeen Diner coffee. It was literally like hot, dirty water. It was horrid. Calling it coffee was a disgrace. Okay, so if you're looking at the screen here, you will see I've got a printer.cfg, a printer.cfg-base, and a printer.cfg-ercfv2. So what this would allow me to do is, because I've got a quick disconnect, and this is something else we're going to be installing in the skirt. This will be a quick disconnect that will use a 4-pin, you know, 1x4 pin horizontal microfit connector. What this allows me to do is reach around in the back and unplug my cable here. Let me go back to the bench side view. So I've got my CAN bus plug like this. I can literally unplug it, take this, and now this can sit separate from the printer. And so my printer, which is a nice good square, travels very nicely. My printer, which is a nice good square over here, travels very, very nicely in the truck. In fact, one of the first years I went, I took that printer, and this printer, the 0G Mercury 1, and all three of these sat in the back seat of the truck. And we went on our merry way. Now the nice thing is I could unplug this and set it on top of the printer and not have to worry about having a cable that I can snag and break or rip or what have you, right? It just makes it easier to transport things. So every once in a while, think about these quality of life things that will enable you to more easily maintain your printer. That's one of the reasons why the, the reverse mounting for the Trident is out there. And you've got the hood with the gas shocks to lift up your bed to get into the electronics bay of your printer for your 2.4s. It makes it easier quality of life to get to things, right? On that Trident, tomorrow night, we're going to have to bring that Trident over here to the bench and run the lower portion of the CAN bus wiring for this connector. I'm going to have to bring that over here, put it on its side, take the bottom panel off, and then work on it while it's sitting here on its side. It's doable, but it's a pain in the butt, right? So thinking ahead, I'm trying to reduce the amount of times I have to do that. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to get in there and redo wiring, which is one of the reasons why while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and swap the screen out and put clipper screen on it. This is already printed, mounted, ready to go. I just need to remove the standard, the mini 128/64 display and put the clipper screen display like I've got here. It's just been a matter of, it's been ready and sitting there for months, but the printer just hasn't been taken offline and been down to work on it. Or it's been buried behind things and I couldn't get to it. Which, by the way, Chris, how do you like this? Like I can dance over here because we've got black box on its black stack. It can move around. We've got the nice table here for the rat rig. So the rat rig is back off the ground and sitting over here. The rat rig has been printing a few more Screwfinity bins. These are a little bit smaller by one row. The other ones I did were 7 by 5? These are 6 by 5 because running 7 by 5, it's just barely over a kilogram of material. So by dropping one row and just going 6 by 5, I can get 2 of the frames on a kilo of filament. So I'm trying to get more organized. I'm working on it. Yeah, so much room for activities like the next build. Yeah. Right now, I'll tell you this. We're waiting on positron, right? We've got positron on order. We're waiting for that to come in. We've got, oh, I'm sorry. I got sidetracked there. Go back over here. So we've got positron on order. We're waiting for that batch to ship out of West 3D. Yeah, I ordered it at West 3D because, well, I won $100 off that happened to be won by somebody else off Zombie stream, and then he gifted it forward and gave it away on his stream. So I had the $100 off for at West 3D. So we ordered that one through West 3D. The So we've got the positron. We've been working on box turtle, and there will be more box turtles being built because I did get two more. I did get two more MMBs in, right? So we'll be working on box turtle, some more box turtles. There's a complete new set of, not complete. Well, yeah. There's a there's a new drop of the files, so I will be printing all the new files, and I will be building a third box turtle with the latest files as of 2 days ago. So there will be some changes even from the version I just built. So we're going to build another one of those. I have put the down payment on a beta kit that, yeah, I'm going to be beta testing another mill, another benchtop desktop mill like the Milo. What else? We've got the droid builds that we still need to work on. And I think we're going to just be doing some maintenance and doing some toolhead swap outs. I need to talk to Fabrico. So RatRig has announced the IDEX kit for the VCore 4. Right now, the only way to get it is to order a new VCore 4, and you have to have the hybrid motor mod and then the IDEX mod. So I've got a VCore 4 hybrid mod with the full enclosure and everything, as you see over here. So all I have to do is order the IDEX kit, probably take the panels off and do some updating to it. So I do want to make that an IDEX, and I will tell you that printer has been a rock. We need to still do work on black box, and I need to do that before the show too, because one of the idler brackets broke. So I've got the new idler bracket printed out, standard ABS this time, but I've got that printed out and it's ready to go. I just need to take that tool head apart, get that installed, and then probably go, because Chris, is there a way of getting the idler door pin out without taking apart the entire tool head? Because I don't think there is. I mean, I at least have to take the metal plate off, and as soon as I take the metal plate off, then I'm back to redoing all of the whatchamacallit, the offsets and all that good stuff. So yeah, they've got the IDEX kit. Like I said, the only way you can do it is to order it as part of a new build right now. And I'm not going to do a $2,000 build just to get the IDEX kit. I'll have to wait, but I'm going to talk to Fabrico, Hector, and see when he expects getting those in, and see if I can get one of the first ones in. Rear plastic belt clamp. To get the idler off the tool head. That's it. It's just the idler on the tool head. It broke on one of the tool heads. Yeah, so make this a little bit bigger. Put that over there. We're going to take this and just stick it right back up here. And this is nice. This is a nice thing with my black stack. And I'm not catching on things. The idler door broke. I might be able to get that pin out. If I can get that pin out, I can get the other side out, I should be able to slide that idler back in and put the pin in from the back. Yeah, it's the idler latch. So if I can get this pin out, then I should be able to just slide this one in place, drive the pin back through, and I'll be good. But yeah, I don't know why, but that broke. I don't know if it was, I'll say shipping and handling or what, but that broke. So um yeah, it's been a minute since I did it. So yeah, that's right. It should be yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. Yeah, I gotta work on that. Why are you fighting me? Go on there. And so for those of you that don't remember, we did work on this a little ways or a little few weeks back. And I have printed on it since then, and I incorporated some of um, the configuration changes, Chris, when Steve was working on his. So I have some of those. I haven't tested another print to see if it gets more in the center, but that's something I need to do. I need to get that idler done and just print with it some before the show, then print with it a lot more after the show. But my plan for the show is black box, one of my Vorons with box turtle. I'll have at least one rook down at KB3D's booth. We'll have a box turtle there. I'm hoping that I can have it working on one of the rooks. I can't guarantee it though. We'll have to see. I've got to work on trying to get that set up. But I do have two sets of MMBs here. One thing I will say, take note of, this is a version 1.1 board. Both of these are version 1.1s. There is a slightly different pinout in the configuration between the 1.0s and the 1.1s. Just be cognizant. And then the other thing is they changed the heat spreaders on the 2209s. This is the old one. These are the new ones. They getting fancy. They getting blingy. I think there's a version of these out with RGB lights on them too. I don't know why. I mean, it's like getting RGB lights on RAM. Why? But anyhow, I digress. So what I was starting to talk about before I went off on that tangent, let me switch back over here to the full display. Hey, Maker Viking, how's it going? Don't have to worry about the front plate. Blah, blah, blah. We can hang out this weekend and work on both of our black boxes together. Yeah. Well, if we get Box Turtle running, we can actually be working on Box Turtle or printing with Box Turtle on something, and then go in and start working on a black box. Speaking of which, you know, we're getting close to Earth. It's about time for you to stream a black box build or a black box stream. So yeah, you need to work on a stream this weekend and clean up your black box. Chris is like the prototype one. So this one is the first one built out of the black box CE kit. We figured some things out. There's some new Bowden tube paths. We figured we had to take the light strip off the right side because it fouls with the with the drag chain. I did notice that there was a change, and we went down from 5 of the clips holding the water tubes to 4, and the spacing slightly changed. So I did that. We've now got an auxiliary fan cooler or skirt cooler in the back. So that was a change. We made some change to the bottom panels to make them easier to get on and off to do maintenance. Um, did you include my little like uh 20, 40, 80 block in the back to provide support for where the panels, the two panel halves meet for the deck? Can't remember if you did that or not. Um, there's a lot of other minor changes that Steve Builds made as well. I still need to get the printed parts to add some beauty covers, I'll say, for my X gantry. Um, and then I've got a mount. So I'm running high flow heater cores for the Revos and mine. So I've got 4 heater cores that are running 60 watts, and the one for my E3D V6 hot end is running a 65-watt heater core. So I was experiencing brownouts. Hey, Miss Lee Marie, how are you doing? I was experiencing brownouts when it tried to do fast travel moves that use both the AB or XY motors. Um, so what I did was I replaced the single 350 watt Meanwell LRS 350 with 2 Meanwell UHP 350. And what that allowed me to do is split the load. So my 5-volt buck converter and the main board, the Duet 3 6HC, are running off one power supply. And then the Duet 3 3HC and the 12-volt buck converter are running off the second one. So that moves 3 of my tool heads over to and the board over to a separate power supply, as well as the 12-volt rail, which is the water pump and the fan. So that has solved my problem. If you're doing full 5 tool heads running standard 40-watt heaters, the kits are now coming with LRS 450s, I believe now. So yeah, so these are all some changes. We've lots of changes in the wiring where some stuff was wrong in the wiring manual. So lots of big changes in that kit. So let me get caught up here. Hey, Maker Viking, welcome on in, Miss Lee Marie. Gosh, welcome on in. And hey, Lee Marie 3D. I'm assuming that that's Jeremy. Welcome on in. You just finished Somalia you've been working on for 45 to 50 hours. Lots of detail. Spike the alien lizard. I saw that post, and I've already asked Evil Diesel if he will download it and print it for me on my Mars 2 Pro because he still has my resin printer. And I may try and download it and print it out in FDM as well because I know you support both. And KB3D, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to Maker Viking, as well as Miss Lee Marie. Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. You thought you were following me already? No wonder you never see my streams. Exactly. And tonight is a off night. My streaming nights are Tuesday and Thursday nights and Saturday mornings. I was streaming tonight just because I'm hitting a roadblock and I wanted to have this tool head rebuilt and ready to go. So we'll run through that in a second. But I got sidetracked and I scrolled out like Modbot. So what I wanted to show you here was I've got 3 different printer config files here. Printer.config base would be my stock 350 without a MMU, ERCFA, Fox Turtle, or anything else. Okay. Then I've got a configuration for running ERCFA v2 that's completely broken right now because I've removed the Happy Hair software. Okay. And then the printer.cfg file that's right here right now is set up to work with Box Turtle. If I take Box Turtle off for any reason and I still want to print, I can go through and I would just rename this as -BT for Box Turtle, take my base config and just remove the -base, physically unplug the CAN bus cable from my Box Turtle, and now I can print completely free. Just, take my PTFE tube out and run it to a direct spool, and I'm printing normal again. So that's how I go about doing it, where it allows me to test different configs without having to do a lot of changes, which once again is why we're adding the skirt pass through and the microfit connector. Sorry. We're going to add the skirt pass through and the microfit connector to make it, I'll say, a quick disconnect for the Box Turtle. Okay. I did the same thing with the Enraged Rabbit carrot feeder as I was working on trying to troubleshoot that and configure it. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's sitting down here. It's sitting down there. By the way, it broke its mount. I had it mounted on two 2020 extrusions. It actually broke the mount for the extrusion, and it broke one of its feet mounts just by the weight of it. So, yeah, I don't know. So anyhow, the issue I was having is I wanted to install the Filametrix so that we have the cutter, right? And we also have the dual sensors in the tool head. So we have a sensor before our extruder gear. This is a critical one. For Box Turtle, you need to have a tool head sensor that's before your gears. Okay. This one also has a sensor after the gears. If you're running ERCFA with Happy Hair, this gives you a lot better control over like your cutting distance and everything else. Box Turtle's working to incorporate the second one as well. So that's Armored Turtle and the team is working on adding some additional functionality for them. Okay. This fairly easily went together. I was able to still reuse the same door from before. And you can tell possibly the difference in the color between this door and this piece. So this is Sparta 3D Sparkle Fluorescent Red ABS. This is Sparta 3D Sparkle Fluorescent Red Polycarbonate ABS. A little more muted in the color, not as much shininess in the flake, but you can see the difference in the shininess there, right? But the biggest issue I was having was down here at the hot end. I went to swap this out for the Filametrix, and I printed parts for a Voron Revo because, well, that's a Revo, right? Except that's a Revo Micro. And there's not a Revo Micro version of this for the Filametrix. So I had the parts printed for the Voron Revo hot end with the heatsink. So I've ordered that heatsink. So when that comes in, we will most likely swap the Revo back in there because all of my profiles are currently tuned for it. And that'll work well. You just take the heater core and the obsidian nozzle and just swap them between the heatsink. So what we did here instead was we kind of have, I was going to try and use my Betis Next G hot end, but the way they do the ceramic heaters on the On the Rapidos, the heaters are vertical. On the Next G, they're horizontal. So that wire comes out with the um, with the strain relief, and there's no easy way to get it to work. So what we've got now is we have a hybrid Dragon high flow hot end. So it's a Dragon high flow with the UHF extension of a Rapido shoved in there to get the distance for the for this skirt, because this is the Dragon Ultra High Flow M, so mini. So that works technically. So we're going to put this in there and start our testing so that we can do that tomorrow night. Once I get my heat sink in for the Revo, I'll swap the parts over, and then it's real easy to, take the front shroud off. Open the door, disconnect these two wires, and then this literally goes like that off, and we'll swap the cutter over onto this one and put that one in, and we're connected back up. Right, so that's what we're going to do. But I really didn't want to take this apart unless I had to, because one, it had a custom design with dragons on it, which was really cool. But I'm running a Nomi in here. This is a Nomi 1.0, so it's already configured and everything. And I didn't want to try and dig everything out of here, because the chances of me breaking it and doing that are pretty high. I know me, I'm ham-fisted. But we will be going through and building another one of these for Bay Dragon or Kyber Dragon, one of the two. Because I am going to be building a third box turtle. In fact, I'm going to go out and probably cut another 2 or 3 frames, because I got plenty of extrusion to do it. But tomorrow night we'll bring the Trident over here. We'll reinstall the tool head. We will install the clipper screen that I've had ready to go on it for months now. I'm debating whether I'm going to install the camera or not just yet. Might just be a bridge too far to get that, because I've got to figure out how to route the wiring and get it below deck and all that. So that may not happen just yet. I do need to repin this wire. This is for the CNC tap. And I'm not sure if I want to play with that on stream or not, because it's going to make me cry. I know it's going to make me cry because, I'm already wearing bifocals, and trying to work with these little frickin' wires makes me want to cry. So, and I need to look at the pinouts and make sure that I move the wires in the right location. And we did check. We are going into, oh crap, we checked, and it's going into TB9, because I'm trying to make sure that they are the same configuration between my tool heads so that I don't have any wonkiness. And so the way I had configured the CNC tap on Iron Dragon, which is my Trident back here that's got my logo side panels, thanks to Chris. It was originally configured X end stop in the end stop pins, and you guys can't see what I'm talking about. Sorry about that. Okay, so I have an X end stop in the X end stop pin over here. Can you see my mouse? There we go. So the X end stop pin right here, this top, it'll be the top left connector. And then I had, this is the screw mount for the SB2209. And I had the CNC tap plugged into this 4-pin connector. What we have now is we've got the 2 tool head sensors, which are end stops being triggered by ball bearings, connected to this 4-pin connector. which means we're going to move our CNC tap down here to the BL touch connector. And we're going to use the ground, the 5-volt, and the PB9. And right now it's configured in a 5-volt ground, and PB5 is how we had it before. So I need to make sure that I depin it and put the pins in the correct order. And I'm going to do that off stream because, once again, trying to do this, and it may be easier, quite honestly, to cut the connection here, the solder joints, and just add new cables and redo the solder joints. Might be easier. So, well, and Jeremy, you've worked with SB2209s and SB2240s, right? The Big Tree Tech SB2209s, and these freaking little, the tiny pin connectors drive me insane. Hey, Royal Nomi, welcome on in. Welcome on in. So, oh, have a good one, Chris. Thanks for getting that package ready to go and out today. I appreciate it. So, oh yeah, those connectors suck. And that's why, quite honestly, I had this put together and then I took it back apart so that I could pull the original thermistor out of it with the microfit connector, and I put in the one that they started shipping with the SB2209 that's pre-crimped because of those damn connectors. Not that I'm, pissy about them, but you just don't be sorry about just waking up. Hell, I may have taken a late day nap myself. I have crimped a couple in the past. I have got successful crimps out of them. Normally what I will do is what you see right here, which is, I use the heat shrink solder connectors, and I just do these. Because trying to crimp these bad boys, I will tell you that normally I try and crimp them and I wind up cutting the damn wire when I go to crimp one part of it. And I'm like, nope, done. I'm done. So I just use the pre-crimped ones, put them in there, and use the heat shrink solder connectors. They're I get the Wirefly solder seal connectors. So I've got a kit of different sizes, and then these are the smaller ones that work with 26 to 24 gauge wire. So I buy these kind of in bulk because I use these more than anything. So, yeah. It's the easier way to do it, and there's times when it's, this doesn't move much. So solder joints are perfectly fine. You don't want to do solder joints on something that's actually moving and articulating, because that solder joint will break over time if it's in you don't want to solder things that are going through a cable chain, right? That solder joint becomes the weak link if you're doing it in a cable chain, right? So you don't want to do a solder joint in a cable chain. You want to do some type of hard, either run a whole new cable or something like that. And I mean, I've soldered, Evil Diesel will tell you this. If you're going to 3D Printopia, or you've been to Rocky Mountain or Murph, the guy that's at the table with me, that's Evil Diesel. Mrs. Dragon, Evil Diesel, and I'm not sure if Little Goober, which is Diesel's little daughter, is coming or if she has school started. So She may have gotten herself in trouble. I don't know. Um, but if she's coming, she'll be there. If not, then it'll just be the three of us. Um, but he has my three Mark III builds, and all three of my Prusa Mark III S's were self-sourced, self-built. And they're all three now in bare frames, and they're over at his house. One of them had an MMU2 on it that he has, I think, rebuilt to an MMU3. So he also has my Flying Bear Reborn 2 and my OG heavily modified Ender 3 that is Black Dragon. We'll just say it's Black Dragon. All right, have a good one, Shenanigans. Yeah, and moving cables, you don't want to do that. And in fact, you want to just, but anyhow, what I was getting at is I had several wire breaks in the umbilical. And, I just soldered them back together. And we have other wire breaks. Now, none of the solder joints broke, but we kept chasing other wire breaks in there. And finally, I think he just went and basically replaced all the cable, just redid all the cable. But long story short, we've got a working tool head. I'm not going to say it's a pretty tool head, but it's a working tool head that we can start testing Box Turtle with. And then you guys won't even know it, but I will swap this out for the Revo once I get the Revo in, and we'll throw we'll throw that in something else. Hell, I've got 4 or 5 hot ends laying around now. I still have a tube and a. You guys want to see a beastie? I'm going to wind up having to build something big just to make use of this, but there is a Takato. This is the HE40. Okay. This uses a super volcano nozzle. And hey, Big Jano, how's it going? Thank you for the resubscribe for 6 months in a row. Wow. Oh, no problem, Lee Marie. I can do that. Yeah. This uses a super volcano nozzle. And this particular nozzle is a, what is this? I think this is a 1. This is a, can't remember. But heaters, right? You see that heater starts right there at the top, right? Look how far down that heater goes. Yes, these are full length heaters, 2, 1 on each side. These are 100-watt heaters. I'm probably going to need to run a separate power supply for this sucker. But 2 100-watt heaters on a super volcano. I'm going to try and run like a 1 or 1.2 on this. And I'm going to need something big to put this on. And it may be something custom, or it may be, I don't know. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do yet, but I need to make that decision and start coming to terms with that. Hey, Polyfo, welcome on in. Thank you for the raid. Wow, just rated with 7 viewers. Cool. Yeah, Lee Marie, send me a message and I will definitely get you the link for that. But yeah, so this hot end right here and the associated FXD extruder, I traded this hot end and the FXD extruder for my salad fork at Rocky Mountain. FXD, FDX, one of those two. I traded that at Rocky Mountain for my salad fork. And then I got a tube for my, darn it, I traded the micron for a tube. I got a tube that needs to go in something, and I need to get with Turtle Crawler. I believe it was Turtle, because he's got a mount for the zero G Mercury ones, which I really want to put one on my Ender 5 Plus, turn zero G Mercury 1 downstairs, and start pushing some fat plastic out of that one too. But I've got a couple of projects that I need to just make some decisions on and start building. So yeah, welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome on in. So for those of you new that have never met me before, I will say welcome on into the Dragon Den. My name's Digital Dragon, aka Luke. I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. What does that mean? Well, it means we do everything from playing around with some more commercially type printers like our Bamboo X1, the Prusa Mark IV down here that I bought fully assembled, and we added the MMU3 to pull up regular builds like Voron 2.4s, the Trident. We got a VZBot 230 down here, the Annex Engineering K3 to prototyping. So this is a zero G Mercury 1. This is a full frame enclosure build built from a closed beta. In fact, it's still a closed beta. To a black box. I proofed the Black Box Community Edition kit for KB3D. So I was the first one that streamed a build of that. We did a trad rack that I have sitting down here that I need to reprint and rebuild, maybe, that was done under a closed beta, to things like the box turtle that I'm doing part of the closed beta on that we've built. So this is a 4-lane open source AMS that's currently running off of a Big Tree Tech MMB and a MOSFETI board for the respoolers. And there's a custom board that I should be getting soon that we will be continuing to test with. There is a dedicated board that will come for that. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I do a few prints here and there, Warhammer 40,000 helmets, things like that. So welcome on in, Raiders and new people. Crafting power. Yep. We prepped for Halloween and wrestling, and now we're ready for Digital Dragon's box turtle plan. Hey, there you go. Box turtle is by Armored Turtle. I just got in on the closed beta, thanks to Thunder Keys bringing me in. But yeah, I've got 2 box turtles. I've got one downstairs on my Trident 350 that I'm still working through some weirdness on. And I don't know if it's the box turtle. It could be my Trident because I had an Urkva V2 on it with happy hair. So it's not a plain vanilla build like the Trident, which is where that box turtle I just showed is going to go, is on the Trident over here. Standard regular clipper, no craziness on it. So that's going to be a better test bed. So yeah, welcome on in, everybody. Had to say hey to a fellow 3D printer content creator. Today we're in Fusion working on Halloween stuff. Awesome. Awesome. I love that. I am just now starting to get into Fusion. I've actually, on the black box, I've created a custom mount for the power supply. The kit originally came with an LRS 350. I'm running 5 tool heads, and my 5 tool heads are the high flow heater cores for Revos. So I've got 4 of them at 60 watts and a 65 watt in my E3D V6 hot end. So instead of having 40 watt heaters, I'm running, a lot more amperage for those heaters. And I was having brownouts doing fast travel moves. And I was skipping steps in the process. So after Murph, I got my hands on two Meanwhile was it UHF, UHP 350 power supplies, and create a mount for that so that they're side by side. And I split the 5 volt and the main Duet 3 6HC board off on one, and the 12-volt rail and the Duet 3 3HC onto another one. And that moves 3 of my hot ends to a separate power supply, as well as the 12-volt rail, which is the water cooling and the fan for the water cooling radiator. So that has solved my problems. Standard kits are going to come as a base model with an LRS 450 if you're running just the standard, 2 to 5 standard 40-watt heater tool heads. You should be good there. The rat rig that's sitting right here that you might not be able to see, let me switch over to the bench side view. So to my knowledge, I'm the only one that has rat rig VCore 4 build videos out on Twitch or YouTube. I've done searches. I'm the only one that has them there. And they've announced the IDEX kit. And as soon as I can get my hands on one from Fabrico or directly from Rat Rig, I will be doing that upgrade to this. So this will be an IDEX. But this thing is a beast, and it prints beautifully. And by the way, this is a 300 size printer. And when this sits on the ground, it's pretty much the size of the stand here. And Black Box can literally fit on top of this. It's massive, but it's a true 300 by 300 cube build volume. Where like your Vorons would be 300 by 300 by like 250 or 270. So, and I've determined, as much as I would like to take this one to shows, I can't. I cannot get it into the back seat of the truck without potential damage to the printer or the truck. And the wife has the Subaru Forester, so we have the hatchback. Yeah, I don't want to try and get that in through the hatchback either, because you'd have to angle it, slide it in, and then I'm not even sure if I can stand it up in the hatchback area. I might have to lay it down. So that one's not going anywhere. And if you're building a 500 of this, it ain't going out of the room you're putting it in unless it's on a, on a rolling cart and you've got a roll up door. So yeah, I'm loving the rat rig. This thing is awesome. That is awesome. It's running a Beacon H. It is using Beacon Contact. I'm using the beta version, or I guess, yeah, the 2.1 version of Rat OS on it, and it works fabulous. Yeah, so Polyfo, I've got a positron on order through West 3D. I'm waiting for the next batch of kits to come out. There was a delay because they had some things out of batch 1 that needed to get fixed. Hey Jeremy, I might reach out to you and see if you can check on that, or do you know when the next batch 2 kits are going out? Because I haven't heard anything. But I've got a positron that's coming. I want to do an IDEX to this. We've been playing with Box Turtle, which has kept me sort of busy. I've got a Dio droid that I need to redo the head on because the servos that I originally used were not strong enough. So I've got all the new servos for the heads, or the 3 that go in the head. I just need to reprint the parts and then tear it down and reassemble it. So the Dio is the little unicycle droid with the cone head. And then I've also got all the parts I just need to do the assembly of a mini chopper build. And he'll be like, if sitting on the table, he'll be like that tall. So I've got one of those to build. Um, Evil Diesel's currently in the throes of completely redesigning our Mechanum Death Racer because he does it every show. All right, cool, dude. Thanks, man. Yeah, what time is it? Oh my God, it's 11 o'clock. Yeah, I need to call it a night as well. Um, but yeah, I mean that's me. That's me in a nutshell. Um, and depending on how things go, I may change my Thursday stream night to Wednesday. Just because things with work right now, um, I'm being asked to start coming in on Thursdays for several meetings. And if I'm in the office for Thursday nights, then I probably want to start going to the ISSA chapter meetings that are downtown that I haven't been going to because ISSA is a cybersecurity forum that I'm part of. So here, let me switch back over to here. Um, so yeah, so I may be changing over from Thursdays. Yeah, you just realized today is Wednesday. Yeah, today was an ad hoc stream because I really needed to figure out this portion before tomorrow. And now that we've got it'll be a working tool head. Um, we can uh, we can bring this, or actually bring the Trident over here, install the tool head. Um, we need to put it on its side and install the CAN bus wiring underneath. And when we do that, we're going to add flipper screen, and then we'll be ready to kind of put everything together. We'll put it here on the bench. We'll have Box Turtle up here on top of it, and we'll do some testing with Box Turtle. Okay. And then at some point, I may move Box Turtle, or may move it back over here. But we'll have it up here on the bench for a little bit. So, oh, you're a fellow droid builder. You just finished your droid E88Y Eddie based off of LO LA59. Okay, so that's the Lola. I about said this, the Sony Discman. the Lola, yeah. Okay, gotcha. I am going to 3D Printopia. I went to Remurf. So Remurf, and I had printers at Remurf, Murph, and 3D Printopia. So this will be the third year in a row where I've gone to all three US ones. Going forward, I may not have a table at like Remurf. I may just be flying in and enjoying the show. And maybe I hang out at KB3D's booth and help them out, whatever. But trying to have tables at all three shows, you can't get out and talk to people, and everything is easy. And I'm a wreck for days afterwards. My voice is gone, and I'm run down. So I think at least one of the shows next year, and most likely Remurf, because I'm East Coast, so that's the farthest one away. I think it'll be better just to fly out there, enjoy the show, roam around, buy a bunch of crap. I've got family. The nice thing is I have family in Denver. My mother-in-law and brother-in-law are in Denver. My son and son-in-law are down in Colorado Springs. My younger son is in Goshen, Indiana. And then my wife has family members in Maryland near Bel Air. So we've got family all over the place at these shows. So lucky for us, it works out really well. Oh, that'll be cool. Yeah, I was supposed to be building Mini Chopper for 3D Printopia. Hi, Britt. And Creatix Britt was supposed to be building cheap for 3D Printopia. If I could physically build it, I can't guarantee that I'll have it painted and fully finished. So I may physically build it. And I'm not sure if I would do it on stream or not. And then afterwards, I'll take it apart and either reprint it in a multicolor print or do something. Yeah, we can always get to it next year. There's always next year, right? Always next year. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Today was just an ad hoc stream that I threw together. Kind of, yeah. Yeah, that was it. I am going to call the stream here real soon, though. I'm going to work on this either tonight or maybe tomorrow before my initial meetings when my eyes are working better. Because, like I said, I've got to depen this tiny, annoying little thing. That's 3 wires there. I've got to depen these wires and try and reuse them where I don't bust the clips on them. Because if you bust the clips, you're going to be redoing. And quite honestly, at that point, I will cut the wire. I will cut the solder joints and resolder new wires. Always next year, I'm less than 2 weeks finishing V3 of E8 and already have plans for V4 for exactly. There you go. So Polyflow, are you down there with the droid folks? Or are you running just, just running around with your droid? Because I know there is a droid builders group that has that one corner at 3D Printopia. And last year I was sitting right up, I was on the second tier right above them. Yeah, that would be so cool to get to Open Source or Rapid next year, Big Jano. I've got family in California as well, but like if I could work it in such a way that work sends me out there, that's great. But I can tell you at some point I want to do Smurf as well, and if I do Smurf, I'm going to miss something in the U.S. I just won't go because just the expense, right? It's the trade-off. If you're going to go to Europe, or if you're going to come from Europe to come over here, you got to get something else above, right? Unless I can get somebody to sponsor me to go to Smurf, that would be cool, but okay, this is going to be your first RepRap Festival. Awesome. So at 3D Printopia, and I would have to I'd have to find an email and find that part. I'd have to find the email to find the map that hasn't been released yet, I don't think, to look at the map and tell you the name of the group. But there is an entire, and they've got, R2D2 full size, rolling around. They've got multiple droids there. And that's where me and Britt were kind of like, yeah, we can do droids, but let's not do the big full size one. Let's do the small size. And last year, the guy that was next to me had a life size battle droid, and I'm talking the rolling battle droid. Of course, it wasn't like full animatronics. It was just a static build at that point, but it was a fully 3D printed life size tumbler battle droid. It was awesome. But yeah, folks, like I said, it's 11 o'clock. At some point this week, I need to get to bed before 2 a.m. I know. Just need to do it. Who knows? Maybe next week I'll find out that I'm going to have more free time. Of course, that'll probably be spent, looking for a new job. Nothing bad. Company's just doing yet another round of layoffs. Eventually, they do enough layoffs, your time comes, But let me go ahead and see who's who's up and running right now. Looks like More and More is finishing an X-Wing fighter doing some brick building. Got David Turner doing some techno music, DJing. Declaration, AZ Ponoy's up playing Warhammer 40,000 Space Marines 2. Sure, you guys want a gamer? You want a brick builder? I don't see any. None of my like 3D printing makers are up doing builds. Anybody have a suggestion? Take it easy, Britt, and thank you so much. We're going to see each other at 3D Printopia at least, right, Britt? We're going to see each other. We're going to hang out. We're going to chat. It's going to be great. You're going to meet Mrs. Dragon. But, droids, like I said, I may have a droid in some stage, but next year we'll have droids fully painted, decked out, good to go. Yeah. Work's always crazy. Like I said, I'm cybersecurity, so there's always work for me to be doing. So that's always good. But yeah. All right, I'm going to go ahead. Let's go over to More and More and check him out. Like I said, he's doing his, and he's on a Be Right Back. Say that, I'm glad I hit stream preview because I hate running into a Be Right Back. So we'll chat for a minute or two. I need to see, how do you get these things out without busting their little rear clip thing? And like I said, I've got to be real careful to make sure that I get these out in the right order and then put them back in the right order. So this was 5-volt, ground, and then signal. Pop this out and then put it back in. It needs. I'm going to keep an eye over here to see when AZ Pinoy comes back, or I guess, let me see who else. Who else? Gaming. People gaming. Imagine that. A lot of people gaming on Twitch. Really? That's tear down your stream. Okay, cool. Cool, Polyfo. Yeah, that's the other thing I got to do is completely redo my stuff. Okay. Let's try switching over to Profit DNA. Mr. and Mrs. Profit. Looks like they're playing some Fortnite, but they may have been working on their Lego Millennium Falcon. So let me ping AZ Pinoy once again. If he's not back, we'll go over. Yeah, I don't know how long AZ is going to be on his little break. So we'll jump over to the Profits. There you are. We'll jump over to the Profits. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Let me get this raid started. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I know it's not my typical streaming day. Again, it might turn into a typical streaming day. Thursdays are probably going to have to change something weird. Oh, no problem, Pezliz. Like I said, I didn't announce it to all of the Discords. I just threw a Twitter out because it was just going to be a quick stream, and I've streamed for like 3 hours now, which is still kind of quick for me. But no worries. Thanks for being here. I will be streaming tomorrow night. So come back tomorrow night and we're going to continue to work on the Trident, getting the tool head that we just got put back together installed back in there, doing the rest of the CAN bus wiring so that we can get Box Turtle up and running on it fully, and we can start testing out Box Turtle and checking that out. So thank you everybody for being here. Come with me as we raid over to Prophet DNA. Like I said, Mr. and Mrs. Prophet, they're kind of a hoot. Maybe a little bit of 18 plus language there. And they're playing some Fortnite right now. So thanks everybody for being here. And Britt, we will see you later and definitely see you in person at 3D Printopia. Thanks everybody for being here. Have a great day.